Welcome to Newsfirst Primetime News, coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Today is the 19th of February 2024, bringing you the news for the Newsfirst team. I am Jaimal Ratnayake.
And I am Rochelle Gamodra. Let's start off with a look at our headlines for tonight.
Barat Lanka housing project launched. President assured relief for the people in the coming months. Abolishing executive presidency is a promise that will never be fulfilled, says Malwatu Mahanayaka. Namal says no support if executive presidency is to be abolished to delay the elections. Injunction prevents Fonseca suspension from SJB.
In a top story for tonight, the Colombo District Court issued an injunction today temporarily preventing the suspension of Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca from his positions and party membership in the Samagi Jana Balawega. The order comes in response to a petition filed by Fonseca himself.
The injunction will remain in effect for 14 days, during which time the court will consider the merits of the petition. The petition names SJB leader Sajith Premadasa, General Secretary Ranjit Madhumu Bandara, National Organizer Thisatha Nayaka and Treasurer Harsha De Silva as respondents.
යම් කිසි මේ බලපෑම් නොඑක් දේවල් ප්‍රකාශ නිකුත්වෙන්න පටන් ගත්තේ දයාරත් නායක කියන පුද්ගලයා හිටපු හමුදාපති කෙනෙක්.
Certain statements were made with the introduction of former army commander Dayarat Nayaka. He is a person who was close to the Rajapaksa family and benefited from the political camp of the SLPP. I was not informed about him. I too was a former army commander and I am a field marshal. I should have been consulted before this person was taken in. Since that did not happen, I criticized the incident. I expressed my dismay over the incident over the phone to the party leader. The necessary action was not taken, and since the matter was taken up by the media, I issued a statement to the press. Since then, a mudslinging campaign was carried out. I believe that I must stand up for what is right. So I am here to seek justice. Justice was served by the court. External politicians, state politicians, the president are not involved in this. I know about him separately because he is our former leader. He introduced me to politics. Apart from that, I have not engaged with him politically. 113,000 supporters elected me to parliament and I must be grateful to them. I have not decided to abandon the party or the supporters.
මම කිසිම ආකාරයකින් තීරණයක් කරගෙන නැහැ පක්ෂය අතාරින්න පාක්ෂිකව අතාරින්න.
මුදුමන අරගෙනාවක් ඇවිල්ලා කිසියම් දේශපාලන පක්ෂයකින් සංවිධානගත වෙන්න ඕන නැත්නම් පක්ෂයට එකතු වෙන්න කියලා.
Generally, we speak to all the politicians we meet at the parliament. When this happens, different opinions are expressed, different invitations are received, but they are limited to those times and only don't get extended beyond that.
National organizer of the Samagi Jana Balawega expressed these views regarding the matter.
Sarath Fonseca also expressed various views on this. Our MPs had also expressed various views. However, it is not the official stance. The party must have discipline. We should accept that. It applies to me, the national organizer, and to the chairman, general secretary and other members. Discipline is important. If there are conflicting opinions, it should be discussed within the party in a timely and appropriate manner. However, we have not reached any decision against him or discussed the same.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe offered assurances of relief for the Sri Lankan people within the next few months while attending the launch of the fourth phase of the India-supported Barat Lanka housing project today.
The Barat Lanka housing project ceremony, held virtually, marked the symbolic laying of foundation stones for 1,300 houses across 45 estates in 10 districts of the island nation. President Ranil Wickremesinghe, alongside Estate Infrastructure Development Minister Jeevan Thondaman and Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Santosh Jha, virtually unveiled the foundation stones.
We are implementing this program with the aid we received from Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I am thankful to the Government of India for paving the way for this program. The main issue faced by those in the estates was that they did not have a plot of land or house to their name. They did not even have voting rights for some time. At present, all those rights have been given, but they are yet to be given the socio-economic rights. We are undertaking that task with the construction of these houses. The government is working to to solve these issues. We are currently in talks to solve the issues of the Tamil communities in the north and east. In addition, we will solve the issues of the estate Tamil communities and the Muslim community. We need to be prepared to move forward in this economy. We used to suffer, but we managed to rise up from bankruptcy. Furthermore, we will now commence our economic lifeline. When I took over, the country was in short supply of food and fuel. Today we have both. While managing the economy and moving forward, we face issues including taxation, but these issues are short-lived. In the months to come, these burdens will reduce. At this time, we have managed to come forward as a result of the funding given by India. If we had not received those funds, we will not be able to move forward. We are working to strengthen our economic relations with India. We need to take advantage of the fast-moving Indian economy. We reached an agreement on that during our meetings with Prime Minister Modi.
This is not merely just 1,300 houses, but it is also the initiation of the 10,000 housing scheme that was promised to us upon Prime Minister Modi's arrival. I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to His Excellency, the Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, for being committed towards the Indian origin Tamils of Sri Lanka.
This project is one of the most important ones which India is implementing in Sri Lanka. It underscores the deep and abiding commitment of the people and government of India, and most notably of our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, to continue our efforts to support the Indian origin Tamil community in Sri Lanka. The vision document that was issued during his historic visit to India in July 2023 continues to guide our efforts. We remain committed to building a deeper and stronger partnership between India and Sri Lanka based on shared security and prosperity, enhanced contacts, and stronger connectivity.
In Kurunagala's Saumya Mawatha, the foundation stone was laid for 25 houses dedicated to working class residents. A special representative from the Indian High Commission attended the ceremony. Notably, 50 houses are planned for the Walamale estate in Lakshapana. The foundation stone for this project was laid in the presence of Kanapati Ganagaraja, Senior Vice President of Ceylon Workers' Congress. Senior Vice President of the CWC, Muthusami Sivanyanam, presided over the event to place the foundation stone for the construction of 22 houses in Nalanda Estate in Mathale.
Iran's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Hossein Amir Abdullahian, will visit Sri Lanka today for a two-day visit. The Sri Lankan Ministry of Foreign Affairs said he will undertake the visit on an invitation extended by his Sri Lankan counterpart, Minister Ali Sabri.
During the visit, the Iranian Foreign Minister is scheduled to pay courtesy calls on President Ranil Wickremesinghe and Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. The visiting minister and his delegation will also have official discussions with Minister Ali Sabri. Dr. Amir Abdullahian will be accompanied by senior officials from the Office of the President, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Energy and other relevant ministries of Iran. Minister of Foreign Affairs of Iran, Dr. Hossein Amir Abdullahian, will undertake the official visit to Sri Lanka from the 19th to the 21st of February 2024. Two Iranian naval ships which arrived in Colombo on the 16th of February 2024 departed the island today on successful completion of their formal visit.
There are instances where online safety, although crucial, is being overlooked. This is against the backdrop where the Online Safety Act has been passed with the accusations of restricting the rights of the people to express their opinions. Here is an instance of when this happened.
Do you remember the time you spent in fuel lines during an economic crisis, saying there were no dollars? Do you remember how fuel bouncers came to other filling stations while you were waiting in line for days or even weeks after receiving news of fuel consignments arriving at the fuel station closest to you? It is now being revealed how the crisis benefited a few while the people were suffering from it. Here is one such instance. On the 18th of August 2022, Minister Kanchana Wijesekara made a complaint to the CID to investigate whether there were irregularities in the importation and distribution of fuel to the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. The minister asked for an investigation into the transactions of 4 months from the 1st of April to the 15th of August 2022.
According to the complaint, what did the CID uncover?
According to the minister's complaint, this is the letter directed by the CID to then chairman of Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and the Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminals Limited on the 3rd of January last year. Some serious facts have been revealed through this letter. Procuring fuel from suppliers who have submitted bids at higher prices despite lower bids being presented at a time of crisis in the country's foreign reserves. Although the reason provided for this was that the lower bids presented no bonds, the investigation revealed that the tenders were granted without bonds, committing fraud in the distribution of such fraudulently obtained fuel. The progress of the investigation on the fuel import transactions has still not been revealed. However, an effort to cover up the transactions that took place during the distribution of fuel is now being revealed.
The CPSTL data scandal.
The CPSTL or Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminal Limited's fuel stocks and their distribution was done through the SAP data system. It has now been revealed that the data in this system was deleted during the period when the suspicious transactions took place. As per the request made by the CID in January 2023, CPSTL had commenced a forensic analysis with the aim of conducting a scientific investigation and uncovering the truth about these transactions. But there was another serious incident thereafter.
The login data was deleted.
During this forensic analysis, which was initiated jointly by a private company and an internal investigation team, the login data that accessed the data in question at 2:43 in the morning on November 24th, 2023 was also deleted. According to the current management of CPSTL, this data was deleted by an employee of a private auditing firm. This data has been deleted through a laptop using the remote login facility. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara revealed last week that the forensic audit revealed that 1.3 million information related to fuel storage and fuel distribution of CPSTL company has been deleted or changed from the main system application or SAP system. The minister said on X, formerly known as Twitter, that this data has been deleted since 2010 and the largest amount of data was deleted in 2022 when the crisis was ongoing. An interim report of the forensic analysis has now been handed over to the minister. A detailed report should be prepared in the future. But without the data and how it was accessed, is the truth likely to be uncovered? The more serious issue is the transactions involving fuel stocks, its distribution and purchase. Are these transactions currently under investigation? Shouldn't those who exploited the crisis while people stood in fuel queues be immediately identified and face legal consequences?
Elizabeth M. Allen, the U.S. Under-Secretary of State for Public Diplomacy, expressed concerns about the potential impact of Sri Lanka's online safety bill on media freedom and freedom of expression during a visit to the country.
When a government constricts the rights and freedoms of its citizens, the future and the development of the country will naturally suffer. Globally, we are witnessing serious and escalating challenges to media freedom. The United States stands firmly for the freedom of expression, advocating for press freedom both online and offline, and ensuring the safety of journalists and media workers worldwide. Unfortunately, these essential freedoms are under threat globally, including concerns raised here in Sri Lanka. When governments intensify efforts to withhold information from the public by restricting internet access and censoring content online, we must speak up. Notably, when Sri Lanka's parliament passed the online safety bill in January, the United States voiced concerns over the potential effects on freedom of expression, innovation, and privacy, something we continue to do privately and publicly. I believe the media's bias should lean towards the public's interest, acting as a guardian to ensure that leaders fulfill their duties. This principle holds in Sri Lanka, in the United States, and globally. The press's duty is to deliver facts as they stand, shedding light on government's achievements, as well as spotlighting where their programs or policies may fall short. This transparency not only informs the public, but also strengthens a nation as it encourages constructive action and improvement. And suppressing voices only complicates matters further. Attempting to conceal issues rather than addressing them is akin to hiding a broken tool rather than fixing it.
We as a journalist, we feel this all the acts are, it's control the mouth of, especially for journalists and media activists. So you are a media strategist activist. So can you give some advice? How can Sri Lankan journalists we are work during this all the acts which are control the mouth of journalists?
That the United States does share the concerns of journalists, of influencers, of content creators, really of people everywhere, on the potential repression on freedom of expression and the stifling of dissent that the online safety bill looks to face. And we are encouraged by the amendments process. We have been offered an opportunity to give our feedback, and we have done so privately and publicly. We do share the concerns by the technology companies as well in terms of their ability to operate here in Sri Lanka freely. Everybody sees the digital economy as a way to continue to build Sri Lanka's economic future and to both attract investment and preserve freedom of expression. We do have concerns with the legislation as it currently stands. We think it's really important that as the amendments process for the online safety bill moves forward and as the consideration of the anti-terrorism bill moves forward before it's passed, that the conversations around that legislation be consultative. We can only hope to have effective legislation if it has taken into account the equities from a variety of stakeholders, and that's something that we will continue to advocate for. In terms of what journalists can do, let me just say I have a lot of empathy for journalists operating in this current environment, given the fears surrounding the online safety bill.
The U.S. ambassador to Sri Lanka also commented on the online safety bill.
And you've heard our concerns about this online safety bill, but it really goes down to three categories of that. It's the process, the intent, and then the implementation. The process, which many see as deeply flawed, not taking in extensive input and suggestions from a wide variety of stakeholders. The intent, while it's supposedly intended to combat things like pornography online and attacks against women and children, the broad definition is concerning. And finally, the implementation of it. We have yet to see how this bill will be implemented, and there is an amendment process we hear is undergoing. But when it's implemented, will it truly do what it says is the intent, or will it have that chilling effect? It's not just about the voices of the United States or the international community. More importantly than our voices are the voices of Sri Lankan citizens.
Newsfirst with the people.
Mahanayaka of the Malwata chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Tibbotuave Sri Sumangala Thera said, abolition of the executive presidential system is a promise that will not be fulfilled. He expressed these views when the Organization for Truth and Reconciliation called on the Thera this morning.
It is as if we speak to trees and rocks, completely useless. We were appointed in 2004 and discussions of abolishing the executive presidency have remained. Even old newspaper clippings tell the same story. This isn't new. 2012, 2024, it is the same promise, year after year. It's nothing but lies. Politicians keep manipulating the people, leaving us fooled. How many commissions have been formed for various reasons with no tangible outcomes? The only result is inefficiency in the civil service. Even if they improve later, what is the point if it's only temporary? I request politicians to support this system but recognize that there are core principles we all agree on. Regardless of party affiliation, our country needs peace, truth and unity. We must implement measures to ensure these don't become empty promises. Unfortunately, those necessary actions haven't been taken yet. That unity flourished in villages, even now. It can be seen in some places. All that was destroyed by these people. They are sowing more and more discord. They only wish to get votes. They have no wish to develop the country. All of these moves are targeting the upcoming election.
Staying on the same topic, former Minister Professor G.L. Pires pointed out in a press conference held today that the idea of abolishing the executive presidency is an attempt to postpone the presidential election.
මේ වර්ෂයේ ජනාධිපතිවරණය නොපැවැත්වීමට
The government has done everything possible to postpone this year's presidential election. Now the last trump card is the abolishment of the executive presidency. The current parliament was elected in August 2020, 5 years. Then the next parliamentary election should be held in August of 2025. So the only outcome that the people will feel through this wicked endeavour is the current government's lifespan increasing by 1 year. Now to do this, getting a 2/3 majority vote at the parliament will not suffice. But let's for a moment assume that they get the 2/3 majority. There are more important steps, that is the referendum. Now this is the question that we pose to the people. Do the people of this country want or like to extend this government by 1 more year? The presidential election must definitely be held in 2024 between the 17th of September and 17th of October. The new president must be sworn in before the 17th of November. Have no doubt about that. It is all mentioned in the constitution of Sri Lanka and related laws, as if it is engraved on stone.
ඒක සඳහන් වෙලා තියෙනවා.
The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna has declared its opposition to abolishing the executive presidency if such a move is intended to postpone elections.
The SLPP is ready to face any election. According to the constitution, the presidential election is due to be held. We believe the president will hold the presidential polls at the right time. If the executive powers are being abolished to postpone elections, we will not support it. If executive powers are being abolished, the electoral system should also change accordingly.
The Lanka Loca organization held a press conference today emphasizing the need to abolish the provincial council system.
This year marks the 36th anniversary of the provincial council system's establishment. The government has spent an estimate 7,000 billion rupees on these councils, with the 71% of that amount going towards recurring expenses. Our provincial council is still necessary for Sri Lanka's future. We urge President and Government to provide the public with a clear understanding of the provincial council system's effectiveness and its impact on the nation's budget, including a statement on the necessity or potential abolishment of the system within their policy platform would offer valuable transparency. Provincial councils initially implemented to address specific issues have instead created unnecessary burdens on a small country. Given the system's debatable effectiveness and significant financial costs, this is a timely opportunity to re-evaluate its existence.
Following today's discussions, health trade unions say that their meeting with the Minister of Health was successful. They have committed to holding off on any trade union actions until solutions are delivered in the future.
Over the past few weeks, 72 health trade unions staged several rounds of protests demanding that the recently introduced debt allowance of 35,000 rupees for doctors be extended to them as well. In response, the Minister of Health held a meeting with representatives of the unions at the Ministry of Health today. During the meeting, the minister appointed a committee to review the proposals submitted by the Alliance of Health Trade Unions. Participating in the meeting were the minister, the health secretary and representatives of the alliance.
මේ සාකච්ඡාව දැන් විධිමත් සාකච්ඡාවක් බවට පරිවර්තනය කර ගනිමින් අවසාන
We propose transitioning this discussion to a formal setting and issuing a final circular based on its outcome. Today the Minister of Health agreed to review our proposal as a special committee tomorrow and submit a formal document to the Ministry of Finance. Our intention is not to strike and jeopardize the healthcare system or put undue pressure on the Ministry of Health. Instead, we aim to collaboratively improve the health service for the benefit of patients. However, ensuring fair treatment for all healthcare workers is essential.
මේ සෞඛ්‍ය සේවාව රෝගීන් වෙනුවෙන් ඉස්සරහට ගෙන යන එක. ඒ සඳහා අපි ලෑස්ති. හැබැයි මේ සාධාරණය ඉෂ්ට විය යුතුයි.
The man accused of murdering a mother and daughter in Ratnapura's Kotaketana area received a death sentence today, concluding a years-long legal battle. The verdict was delivered by Ratnapura High Court Judge Lanka Jayaratna.
35-year-old Neil Lakshman from Kotaketana was sentenced to death for the murders. Ratnapura High Court Judge Lanka Jayaratna sentenced him to death, noting that the Deputy Solicitor General Lakmali Karunanayaka, appearing for the Attorney General, had used DNA to prove that the accused was in fact the criminal beyond any reasonable doubt. The murders took place on the 19th of July 2012.
Sri Lanka police arrested a woman identified as Patta with alleged connections to the drug network of notorious trafficker Kudu Salindu. The arrest took place in the Madhupitiya area of Panadura by the Valana Anti-Vice Unit. Patta is believed to be the sister of the wife of Asita, who reportedly manages Kudu Salindu's operations from Dubai. This arrest expands the reach of law enforcement's efforts against the suspected drug network, as several of Patta's close relatives, her father, husband and elder sister, are already in custody. Authorities apprehended 26-year-old Patta while returning home after allegedly purchasing drugs from a dealer. During the arrest, officers reportedly found 10 grams of heroin and over 2.2 million rupees in her possession. Police reported finding 4 dogs trained to attack officers, a CCTV system for remote monitoring and an iron fence designed to impede immediate entry. Furthermore, Patta apparently has a history of legal troubles related to drug activities. Police stated that she faces a pending case in the Panadura court for assaulting an officer during a previous drug raid and has 2 additional cases in the High Court related to heroin possession.
The tragic toll of lives lost in motor accidents continues to rise by the day, with train collisions being a particularly significant contributor. This afternoon, another devastating train accident in Arachikattua claimed the lives of a mother and her 2 young children.
Tragedy struck again on the Putlam-Chilau train route, this time near the Mayaba railway crossing in Arachikattua. The train accident had claimed the lives of a mother and her 2 children. The mother, identified as a 36-year-old woman, tragically passed away along with her 9-year-old son and 5-year-old daughter.
The Assistant Secretary of State for South and Central Asian Affairs, Donald Lu, says that there is no greater comeback story than the story of Sri Lanka. He was speaking at a forum organized by the United States Institute of Peace over the weekend.
I wanted to tell you a story. And Americans love a comeback story. And so in the region I work on, there is no greater comeback story than the story of Sri Lanka. If you will go back with me in time, a year and a half, you will remember a country in crisis. You'll remember mass riots in the streets. You'll remember lines for petrol and for food snaking around the corners. You'll remember the seizing of the president's home, protesters swimming in his swimming pool, protesters cooking food in his kitchen. If you've been to Sri Lanka lately, it's a very different place. The currency is stable, food and fuel prices are stable. They've gotten reassurances on their debt restructuring, and the IMF money is flowing. How did they do that? That's the question I wanted to explore with us a little today. The answer I would offer is they did it with a little help from friends. And this Indo-Pacific strategy is based on the premise that the United States and like-minded partners are going to try to offer a better proposition. Let me explain that in the context of Sri Lanka. In the beginning, Sri Lanka really needed humanitarian assistance. And what we saw was countries like India coming forth with concessional loans that allowed Sri Lanka to continue to bring in vital supplies of food and fuel during the most difficult times. Our USAID during those same days provided hundreds of millions of dollars in agricultural inputs, fertilizers and seeds, so farmers could grow their own crops. On the debt side, if you follow Sri Lanka at all, you know they have a really heavy debt burden. The creditor committee, led by Japan, France, and India, negotiated for months to find a formula to allow Sri Lanka to restructure its debt in a sustainable way. And that formula put pressure on the Chinese to go along with those debt reassurances. That opened up IMF funding and the changes that you see in the economy today. this $553 million loan from the U.S. Development Finance Corporation just announced in November, that was a loan not to a government, it was a loan to the Colombo Port West Container Terminal. That's a private sector project that's going to make money for the Sri Lankan people. It's not a loan that balloons out bilateral debt. It's an actual profitable project that's really based on private sector investment that we are supporting as well. Lastly, I would say part of what Sri Lanka really needs is all of us to be there to help support its sovereignty. One of the ways that we are doing that from the U.S. government is by providing patrol boats to the Sri Lankan military, and we are also this year set to deliver a King Air aircraft that will help Sri Lanka to patrol its coastal waters. Just to circle back to where I started, Sri Lanka has made this amazing, sort of historic comeback. How did it do it? It did it with a little help from all of us.
The Sri Lankan rupee has strengthened by 3.5% against the US dollar.
According to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the Sri Lankan rupee has strengthened by 3.5 against the US dollar over the past year. Accordingly, the rupee has strengthened by 6.5% against the euro. The Sri Lankan rupee has strengthened by 4.8% against the sterling pound. The Sri Lankan rupee has increased by 3.4% against the Indian rupee.
Auditions for Shakti Crown, a vocal journey launching Sri Lankan singers onto the global stage, continued even today. Shakti Crown is organized by Sri Lanka's Tamil language powerhouses Shakti TV and Shakti FM.
Shakti Crown.
The auditions for Shakti Crown, Sri Lanka's unique reality show propelling local talent to the international stage, kicked off today at the Mahatma Gandhi International Centre in Matale. Hundreds of aspiring singers showcased their voices during preliminaries, leaving the judges with exciting possibilities.
ஸ்நேகம் ஒரு போர்வைக்குள் இரு தூக்கம் கொஞ்சம் மைனாக்களே என் குரல் கேட்டு வந்து கூடுங்கள் அவருக்கு பூவழகு அவருக்கு நான் அழகு
கரம் கொடுத்திடும் சக்தி உள்ளம் கவர்ந்திடும் சக்தி சிகரம் அடைந்திட கனவு நினைத்திட எங்கள் தமிழ் பேசும் மக்களின் உயிர் மூச்சு சக்தி.
Following the tremendous success of Shakti Junior Superstar and Shakti Superstar, Sri Lanka's Tamil language powerhouses Shakti TV and Shakti FM presents another exciting reality music experience, Shakti Crown. The Shakti Crown audition will be held tomorrow at the Stein Studios in Ratmalana. This is your chance to shine.
Shakti Crown.
The Sri Lanka Institute of Architects Architect Design Week 2024 continued its exploration of creative expression with Art Talk, a follow-up event of Music Talk that was held in Colombo yesterday.
The event brought together renowned artist Jagat Veera Singha, artist Halik Aziz and architect Murad Ismail for a captivating panel discussion.
You know how the war on Israel is being reported today, right? You have sentences like, oh, 15 Palestinians were shot, or bodies of 15 Palestinians were discovered, or whatever. So the agent is never sort of articulated, right? So there are ways in which we can use language that you don't have to actually mention who did this. You can just mention something happened, right? So there are this multiplicity of ways in which both language and visuals work.
So art is about copying, but it should transform emotions of the viewer. But you know what? We Asians had nothing to do with that idea. We did not believe in mimesis or copying nature. We never. So this is European art. Asian art, Asian culture did not try mimesis. And if you tell me you are a good artist because you can paint a tree like it's live, you're speaking the language of the colonial, not of the Asian art.
While music talk delved into symphonies, art talk shifted the focus to visual expression. Veerasinghe and Aziz, two of Sri Lanka's most celebrated artists, engaged in a dynamic conversation with Ismail, exploring the nuances of art creation, the role of art in society, and the very nature of artistic expression. The MTV-MBC network was the official media partners of the event. The event provided a platform for art enthusiasts and architecture professionals to engage in an insightful discussion.
Finally, in sports news, Sri Lanka took on Afghanistan in the second T20 of the three-match series at the Dambulla International Cricket Stadium earlier today. After a nail-biting first game of the series, which Sri Lanka won by a slender 4 runs, the hosts will be looking to complete a series win tonight with a game to spare.
After winning the toss, Afghanistan opted to field, putting Sri Lanka into batting first for the second straight game at the Rangiri Dambulla International Stadium. Sri Lanka made no changes to the 11 that won by 4 runs on Saturday. Batting first, Sri Lanka posted a target of 187 for the loss of 6 wickets.
That looks great. Hannibal.
After a blistering start to the innings, Sri Lanka lost both their openers in a span of 4 runs, but Sirasa managed to steady the innings with a composed 51 of 42 balls. Angelo Matthews took matters into his own hands towards the end of the innings with a rapid 42 runs in just 22 balls with 4 sixers. Afghanistan require 188 runs for victory to level the 3-match series 1-all.
And that's wrap off Primetime News for tonight. Thank you for watching.
Take care and good night.